What's going on, traders? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital, coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is April 6th, 2021. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm if you actually click the like button, so please click it. Today we're going to talk about the price action and the indices. We'll go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors as we always do. We'll talk about some of my trades for the day, and then we'll wrap up with some options order flow. I did a lot of scalping today. Before we jump in, quick risk disclaimer: nothing in the video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, so let's jump right into it for today. And if you take a look for our box scores, we had S&P 500 finishing down 0.06%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ finish down 0.07%. We had the IWM small caps finish down 0.29%. And we had the Dow Jones finish down 0.25%. So we talked about this in our pre-market session where, hey, the market is getting pretty extended at this point. You know, we're well beyond all these key moving averages, well beyond the monthly value area. It wouldn't be a surprise, and it would actually be welcomed if there was some sort of pullback or consolidation, and that's what we got today. So yeah, really just a day of sideways price action, nothing too exciting, you know, essentially some chop on the tape. Nothing wrong with that though. So yeah, you can see, you know, if we have maybe like one or two more sideways days, this 5-day exponential moving average, you know, it is going to catch up with price. Some of the levels, you know, that I was looking for, like, hey, if we got a, you know, relatively small dip, maybe we get to this 4,045 level, maybe we get down to this 4,030 level. We actually did not get to either of those levels. So you can see, you know, the market is definitely strong here. There are buyers that are still there. And really all we managed to do is just consolidate in time. If we pull up our QQQ here, or we'll pull up our NQ futures for the NASDAQ, you can see here, looking very similar. You know, we took out a virgin point of control yesterday right here, and you can see, you know, today we just had a bit of a doji candle, moved sideways, a little bit of chop throughout the day, finished down 0.04%, nothing crazy at all. IWM is our worst performer on the day. Let me pull up our RTY futures, our Russell E-mini futures. So you can see here, we're still above the 20-day moving average and the 5-day, but we have not broken out of this monthly value area. And you can see the small caps are no longer leading us higher in the market. It's been these mega cap tech names like the Facebooks, Microsofts, Amazons, etc. Yeah, so definitely small caps looking a little weak, relatively speaking. And then last but not least, we'll pull up our Dow Jones. And you can see here we finished down 0.27%. Nothing crazy as well. Also just taking a bit of a breather. So let's see. Let's take a look under the hood, and we will check out what was going on, you know, in terms of these different areas of the market. So if we look, you know, these FANG names have had such nice, you know, runs lately. Yeah, you can see Apple up 0.25%. Rest of the FANG names, you know, down a smidge. Nothing too crazy. Semiconductors had a pullback today. So let me pull up some of these names. This has been, you know, a super flaming hot sector. So yeah, not out of the ordinary that it would have a bit of a pullback. Yeah, so you can see the sector ETF finished down 1.12%. Still pretty extended though. So yeah, pretty welcome pullback. Nothing too crazy. Applied Materials has been leading this group. They had an investor day today, and there was some profit taking on the investor day. So that's also very natural. Happens a lot of times with these names that have really nice runs into events. Sometimes you get some profit taking. You can see we pulled back to that 5-day exponential moving average. Let's take a look at some of these other areas here. Yeah, you can see financial services kind of mixed. Healthcare, bit of a pullback. Yeah, kind of like mixed breadth across the board. The restaurants did okay. One that really stood out, you can see Starbucks had some nice price action today, up 1.92%, breaking out to new highs. So that's pretty good. Yeah, so even though the indices, they were, pretty much at a standstill, are actually pulling back a bit, there was a lot of action in these individual names. Let's pull up or not this here. Let me actually close that. Save this. There we go. Yeah, so if we look at our sector sheet here, you can see, we have a lot of our top sectors, just had little pullbacks. It's kind of interesting. So this blockchain ETF makes sense. Blockchain assets have been ripping. Semis, we just talked about that. Home builders. One thing that's kind of interesting is this 3D printing ETF and these ARC funds are starting to move higher within our momentum list. So that's actually very interesting. Let me take a look at these. Let's see if we look at the 3D printing ETF. I have this one in the trend portfolio. Yeah, so nothing really crazy. Looks like it's just kind of basing out. But yeah, over the past couple days, it has had a nice run. If we pull up the ARC Innovation ETF, yeah, you can see finished up 1.8% today. You can see it's above the 20-day simple moving average now. So nice progress being made here. And this in the grand scheme looks like it could be sort of like a double bottom in terms of the price action. You can see we got a pullback almost to that 200-day moving average. So I would not be surprised if the ARC fund, just kind of bases sideways for a bit here. And that really was at least the short-term bottom down here. But yeah, definitely interesting that we're seeing some of these areas that were really out of favor starting to move a little bit higher on our momentum list. Another one that's kind of interesting, gold miners. They've been doing pretty well as just the GLD gold ETF and the gold futures. I actually put a position on in gold today for the first time in quite a while. Areas that were lagging, you can see the global autos ETF down 0.99%. European financials were down, and you can see biotech actually got killed, and the YOLO cannabis ETF. Another one sticking out was KWEB. A lot of these Chinese internet names actually had nice bounces today. For style factors, you can see here pretty mixed across the board. Best performing style factor was momentum, and you can see momentum has moved to the top of our sheet. So definitely, big rotation going on there. We have momentum and growth at the top of our list. And you can see worst performing style factor, we had international value and international momentum actually as well. Now let's take a look. We're going to pull up some of my trades for the day. So let's see, what did we have here? So coming into today, I knew, okay, the market's pretty extended. Into the session, I was like, we'll see if we get a pullback. I'll maybe enter some long positions, but I just want to be patient. From pretty early on in the day, it was like, all right, we're not really going to get a pullback. So I was just looking for some, attractive setups in the market. So VUZI is one that I did take an entry on, entered at $27.99. VUZI is a name. I have this one in the trend portfolio as well. Added this one at much lower levels. Yeah, VUZI, it just broke out of this monthly value area high. And you can see today it really just consolidated at those highs. So I would not mind at all seeing another few days where VUZI just kind of builds here and see if we can take out the prior all-time high at $30.65. Yeah, so added that one on to the books. CCIV is one that I took. This was at the end of the day. And this one, I was like, all right, let's see if we have, a good setup here. You can see I wanted to really just scalp this one. And I was like, okay, we're trading above the monthly point of control. Then on this 5-minute chart, I was like, all right, we're looking okay. On the hourly chart as well, this was really like the signal. So you can see we crossed above that 200 period moving average. took this one and closed it out for a scalp winner, because into the close I was like, I don't want to have like a bunch of new positions, especially CCIV. It's a small cap, and just go home with a bunch of new stuff. So yeah, close that one out for small scalp winner, about a 30-cent winner. I shorted some Medallia common stock at $30.10. This name is just in a really big downtrend. It's a software name. And Medallia, yeah, this name, I include this in my watch list a lot when I'm looking for shorts. Medallia just can't really get out of its own way here. And you can see it popped to a new swing high, as the market got really strong. So I would imagine if there's any sort of market weakness, this one will probably crumble. So yeah, enter that, just some short common shares. I did a lot of options trading as well today. So yeah, today, this was my favorite setup. So BIDU, I already have 2 call spreads on in BIDU. They expire April 16th. So they expire, this next options expiration. I have the 190 by 200 call spreads, and I have the 195 by 200 call spreads. I put those on really while I had no idea at the time, but it was essentially when Bill Huang was getting liquidated from his BIDU position. But I'm still seeing it looks like there's more upside in BIDU. So I originally entered those call spreads literally on this candle when it put the bottom in. And so my call spreads, they're fully in the money. Now at this point, really there's not all that much juice left in those call spreads. They're fully in the money. They're going to expire in about a week and a half. But when I saw this pattern developing, I'm like, okay, so this liquidation is pretty much over. This price action is looking really tight here. You can see the volume is drying out in the stock. And it's ever so slightly marching higher. The other thing that I noticed when I went to the hourly chart here was, okay, we just broke out of this weekly value area, and we have a virgin point of control ahead of us at 231.91. So this for me is like, A plus setup in a name where in 2020, BIDU was one of my best names. So for this one, I remember trading this initial breakout right here, and I caught pretty much this entire move higher in BIDU, and I was just consistently trading this one to the upside in 2020. So BIDU is one that I revisited, this year as it started to really bottom out. I sort of got lucky that I kind of like lost interest in BIDU once it started really going parabolic, and then sort of started trading it back here again. But yeah, this name I'm pretty comfortable with. I had a lot of success trading in the past, and just seeing that setup, I'm like, all right, let's do it. So yeah, I entered into some May calls for BIDU. I got the 220 strike calls for May, got those for 1940, seeing a small profit, so far on that position. I entered some PayPal calls, and these again were May calls, pretty short term, the 250 strikes. I saw that PayPal was emerging from consolidation. And you can see here, yeah, I saw like, oh my gosh, PayPal's jumping out of this monthly value area. Let me jump onto this one, because this is a pretty high quality name that a lot of people own. And I just ended up scalping it. So for this one, I was like, I'll try to play it to the 50-day. And I noticed like it was getting up there, didn't really have a lot of power. The market was kind of being a little bit weaker. And to be honest, like sometimes with these names, you look and you go, is this a name that's really leading the rally, or is it just rallying because everything else, everything else in its sector is going up, that sort of thing. And PayPal, I don't really think it's like leading the market higher or anything like that. You can clearly see that from the chart. So for this one, I was like, hey, I have a nice scalp winner. I'm going to take that and run. Because that was the other thing. Like, I know the market's a little bit extended. But there are setups that are working. So I just want to make sure I don't, like, pig out. And, like, all right, I'm going home with, like, 6 new call options on the books. Like, nothing like that. See, I got long for $14.90. Ended up closing those out for 16 bucks. And that was in about 20 minutes time. So yeah, I just said here, don't want to get carried away with short-term option exposure. I also got long the digital turbine May 21st calls for 920. Digital turbine, one of my favorite names. Another one that I am long in a long-term trend portfolio. It's available to all Pristine Capital members. Digital turbine, this one is going to be interesting for the next couple days here. The price action is really tightening. This one's put in a base for months now. Really strong name. And you can see here, we did get the close above 85. So I do like the way this one closed, even though it didn't necessarily close on the highs. I'm definitely going to be watching this one tomorrow to see how it trades. And definitely interested, if this one wants to move higher, to continue with it. I just had the calls on in case today was the day it really just took off. But it didn't really look like that happened. So I took those off as well for a scalp winner. So I took those off, put them on for 920. I closed them out. Let me switch this. I put that I paid 930. I paid 920. Yeah, so I paid 920. And I closed them out for 950. So yeah, that another one where it was like, especially when the market is this extended, for me, it's like every contract that I have on, that's additional risk I'm putting on my books. And especially with options exposure, say if the market tomorrow is down 1%, I don't want to feel that portfolio pressure of like, oh man, I saddled myself with so many options yesterday when the market was extended. So yeah, that's I still like this setup. I was like, for prudence, I'm gonna take the money and run. And then the other one that I added some GLD calls for July 16th. So this is a little bit longer term for $5.45. I'm noticing that gold, I could be wrong here, but when I look at these gold futures, looks like they're ready to break out. And I've been pretty bearish on gold, for the past couple months as it's been in this downtrend. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not touching gold. If anything, I'll short gold, whatever. This is really the first time in quite a while. And I'm like, gold actually looks like it's setting up pretty nicely here. As you can see, we have this double bottom. And now we're breaking out of this monthly value we're in. And the other thing, I think sentiment around gold is pretty low. I'm pretty sure a lot of these gold bugs at this point are just completely despondent. So we'll see, if we get some sort of upside move, put those options on for July. So that's pretty much what I traded for today. So yeah, nothing too crazy, just scalping some names, added a short, added some longs. Let's take a look. Yeah, and the options activity for today, looking pretty bullish overall. And, posted on Twitter yesterday, the equity put to call ratio yesterday came in very low. So what that's telling me is like, yeah, this market can continue to just kind of like blow off. But a lot of that like rally fuel, it's being spent, every day. So that was another thing I was thinking about, where I was like, all right, I see everyone's going for call options again. So let me just try to be, prudent here. But you can see Tesla, we had some call buyers. You can see Play. This one is, where is Play? Play has been in an awesome trend. This is our recovery name. Dave and Buster's here. Yeah, you can see it's kind of pulling back. I'm not really interested in that one. Datadog, I saw some people posting about this in the morning. There's these COVID winner names that I think like what happens a lot of times is people make a ton of money with a stock. Like Datadog, if you go to this weekly chart, Datadog had a tremendous run from the March lows into the summer. So you can see, like June, July is when this stock, this one was ripping for a long time. Yeah, look at this. So a really nice trend that it was in. The trend kind of soured. And you can see now it's like this weak little bounce. Like this one actually looks like it could be a short, to be honest, unless they have like some news or something like that. But yeah, I think a lot of people, like, say if they made a lot of money trading Datadog, same thing for me with BIDU. A lot of people get excited where it's like, oh man, this name I'm familiar with, it looks like it's getting going again. So yeah, I saw a lot of people getting excited over Datadog. Yeah, I see $2.5 million in calls. These are for the May expiration, and they have the 90 strike. Where's Datadog trading right now? Okay, it's trading at 88. So yeah, slightly out of the money calls being purchased. So I'll have to see. Maybe Datadog makes a run to the 20-day. Who knows? You can see we had a call buyer for Pinduoduo. It's a Chinese internet name. He came in for April 16th with the 135 strikes. This is short-term calls. Yeah, and these are in the money calls, so maybe they're just doing a stock replacement play. They're going to take ownership. But yeah, these Chinese internet names have been in a really bad downtrend, and it looks like they're starting to emerge. So another one I'm going to be looking at, Baba. This one, as horrible as this chart has looked, right now it's starting to look more appealing to me because the price action, it's getting a little bit tighter here. You can see it's not really making lower lows anymore. It's kind of respecting this prior area from 2021. And yeah, we're just starting to get that tightness, getting some green candles. So this honestly looks like a pretty attractive area to enter Alibaba, from a risk reward perspective. And I'm noticing that with a lot of these names like Futu. This one's definitely one of the stronger names. This one's almost back at its highs. But Baidu as well that I already mentioned. So yeah, some of these names, they're looking a lot better. Then Applied Materials, looks like a dip buyer that came in. Netflix as well, another semis name, LRCX. So yeah, definitely bullish flow overall. So we'll have to see. The put to call ratio is going to come out at like a 0.1 tonight. Yeah, we'll cross that when it comes. With that being said, hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you all tomorrow in the pre-market session.